All right, next up is another 3:30 game, a loaded 3:30 slate that we really have this week. We got number 23, Illinois, at Washington. Again, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Big Ten Network. This really is a playoff elimination game for both programs because both Illinois and Washington enter Week 9 with 5-2 records this year. And like I mentioned before, no 3-loss teams were selected as at-large bids for the college football playoff last year. So Saturday's game, by all accounts, for Illinois and Washington is a playoff elimination game. And neither Illinois nor Washington, I would say, would have the resume required to even have a chance at making the playoff with 3 losses either. So I think the loser of this game is firmly out of the college football playoff race. If Illinois wins, it's set up very nicely to make the 12-team playoff because the Fighting Illini have only lost 2 games this year. That was the top 2 teams in the country, and number 1 Ohio State and number 2 Indiana. And Illinois should be favored in all of their remaining games against Rutgers, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Northwestern. I mean, there are some pretty decent teams on that list right there, but Illinois should be favored by probably multiple scores against almost all of those teams. Washington still has to play 6th-ranked Oregon at the end of the year, but a win in this game over Illinois would establish the Huskies as still legitimate playoff contenders because they have games against Wisconsin, Purdue, and UCLA before the Cascade clash against Oregon at the end of the year too. So if Washington wins this game, they have, obviously UCLA's been better lately, but if they beat Wisconsin, Purdue, and UCLA, they could go into that final week of the regular season, and all they got to do is it's very difficult.
Oh, that's it? That's all, yeah. They just have to beat Oregon? Yeah.
That's all of a sudden a huge game where if Washington wins that game against Oregon, they could be in the playoff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, they would be.
Yeah.
If Illinois' got an interesting case because you're talking about how badly they got beaten against Indiana and Ohio State, which are the top 2 teams in the country. I'm not taking that from you, right? But you look at the rest of the resume and you go, Duke's a decent win out of conference, but they've found a way their way to what,
USC,
4-3 now.
USC's pretty solid.
USC, that's a huge one. That was really the biggest win of the year so far, is coming back in that USC game at the end. But no, this is huge for both teams. I'm with you. I think the loser is out. I think we could just definitively say 3rd loss, not a good enough resume overall.
Yeah.
Maybe Washington, if they were to lose this game and beat Oregon, you might talk about them. But I think on that alone, with 3 losses, no, they probably would not get in. That's what you're looking at right now. Is for both teams, this is pretty much the game of the year right now.
Yep, absolutely. So you have the Washington offense with DeMond Williams, and we have a DeMond Williams Jr. for Heisman person in the chat right now. So be careful. But what should we know about him against Illinois?
Well, if he's going to go out there and have some sort of Heisman moment this week, he has to be able to get it going with his legs. It's very, very clear to me when you watch this offense what the difference is between their 5 wins and their 2 losses to Ohio State and Michigan. And obviously very good defenses, but I think also came in with really good plans on how to deal with DeMond Williams Jr. in their 5 wins. He's got a 78.3 rushing grade, and max he runs for 8 yards a carry. He's dangerous with the read option game. He's dangerous out on the move when he breaks the pocket. If you are not aware of where DeMond Williams is at all times, he's going to hurt you with his legs. Obviously, he can beat you with his arm, too. He throws a really nice deep ball. Last week, had a couple turnovers against Michigan that hurt him late in the game, kind of lost his composure in the big house. But I think the clear and obvious plan for Michigan and Ohio State, the 2 losses were make him hand it off to Jonah Coleman. And Jonah Coleman's dangerous, don't get me wrong, but make him hand it off to Jonah Coleman and the read option game and keep him in the pocket first and foremost before you just go crazy rushing at him. In their 2 losses, 54.9 rushing grade, 10 carries for 23 yards combined in those 2 games. If you take DeMond Williams' legs away and you make him beat you with his arm and you make Coleman beat you between the tackles, and I love Jonah Coleman, he's a tackle-breaking machine, but he does not have blazing 4.3, 4.4 speed that's going to take you to 60, 70-yard runs, right? You would rather deal with that and tackle Coleman in the box than let Williams turn the corner with his speed and get out on the edge. Absolutely. So I think Illinois, and they're in a lot of 5-man fronts. Sometimes their defensive line is a little bit wider than most because they have that extra body out there, right? If Illinois wants to win this game, they've got to stay disciplined up front. Do not attack. Do not crash down on Coleman off the edges too hard. Take a look at the Michigan and the Ohio State team tape. This is exactly what they did to Williams. Now, the other advantage that Williams is going to have in this game is the heavy amount of man coverage that Illinois runs. So that's going to be a question, too, when it comes to scrambling, not just the pass rush plan, but is Illinois going to be more willing to run zone coverage? And second of all, are they going to be able to have anyone? They've struggled in coverages here. Anybody who's going to cover Denzel Boston one-on-one if they're going there. And twofold, all those guys' backs are turned in man coverage. You got Williams scrambling down the field for 20, 25 yards. You have a problem. I think Damon Williams' legs right now are the X factor in Washington winning or losing any given football game.
Yeah, I have the Illinois offense, and I'm looking at the quarterback as well, and whether or not Washington can consistently pressure Luke Altmaier. There's been a pretty clear distinction between how effective Luke Altmaier is when he's kept clean versus when he's under pressure this year. 89 passing grade when kept clean, 25th among all quarterbacks in the country. 48.8 when he's pressured, that's 83rd in the country. And Illinois has given up a 33% pressure rate as a team. That's 94th among all teams in America. But Washington, as you see right there, they're only 89th in America right now in pressure rate on defense at 30.6%. And the Huskies are only 96th in team coverage grade as well at 71. So it's not as if they have the secondary to hold up in order for the pass rush to get home. Because I mentioned before in previous Illinois previews how Luke Altmaier in the games against Duke and against USC, he mitigated his offensive line struggles by getting rid of the football very, very quickly. It's not like Washington has the secondary to hold up in coverage for him to hold on to the ball for 2.5+ seconds in order for the pass rush to get home. So the pass rush or the secondary has to step up in this game to help out the other one, I think, in this one. And I think they will need to beat an inconsistent offensive line for Illinois right now, or Luke Altmaier, and of course their star receiver right now, Hank Beatty, could expose that secondary.
Hank Beatty, Colin Dixon's had a pretty good year for them as well. They've got more weapons, I think, than we thought they would coming into the year. And I think as far as Altmaier goes, that's maybe his greatest skill right now. It's just his ability to get rid of the football where it needs to get to. And look, Washington, they tried to blitz Bryce Underwood in Michigan last week, and he killed him. He killed him when they blitzed him because he knew where to go with the football, especially attacking down the seams of the defense. I think down the middle of the field, right down the hash marks, is where Michigan really hurt Washington in the passing game. That could be another theme in this game for Illinois. So I think you're right. As it always is with Luke Altmaier, you want to get pressure on him, you want to take him down, but you have to be able to cover long enough to do it, or he's just going to get rid of the football before your pass rush gets there.
So ultimately, Dalton, what is effectively a playoff elimination game for these two Big Ten programs, who will win between Washington and Illinois?
This might be the hardest game of the week to pick, honestly. This is really tough. I think you have two teams going to come out desperate. They know the season's on the line. Damon Williams, what is the plan for him from Illinois' side of keeping him in the pocket, not letting him beat you with his legs? I also think there is a factor here that I do like that this game is at Washington. They had the big 3-year win streak broken at home because, well, Ohio State's Ohio State, and you know how that goes. But I'm going to just take the home team here. I think this is maybe the most unpredictable game that we have here. I'm going to take Washington 30-27. I think both quarterbacks have their moments. I think a difference is, though, that Illinois' coverage unit has struggled. You're going to get one-on-ones with Denzel Boston, which you like to the advantage of Washington. And I think if they're going to run as much man coverage as they usually do, Williams is going to find maybe 5 or 6 times where he makes an explosive run happen and turns this game on third down.
Yeah, I have Washington as well, but I think it's going to be a 50-50 coin flip. I have the Huskies winning 35-31 over Illinois. I think both quarterbacks will have success in this game against two subpar secondaries in this one, and really a subpar pass rush for Washington too. But in what could end up as a shootout, I do think Washington has the more balanced offense with Jonah Coleman at running back as well. I think they'll bounce back at home, like Dalton says, is a big factor too, after losing the Michigan on the road last week. So I have Washington winning this game 35-31 and most likely re-entering the top 25 with this win. And like I said before, they just got to beat, Wisconsin, Purdue, and UCLA, and then you got Oregon in the Cascade Clash.
Now. UCLA's
dangerous. They are dangerous.
UCLA's a wagon all of a sudden.
They are dangerous.
They're playing Indiana this week. I mean, we do like the Hoosiers in that game, but UCLA all of a sudden, that's not a freebie either now.
But yeah, if they win this game and they win those 3 after that, then all of a sudden that Cascade Clash against their rival in Oregon could be massive, not only for the rivalry game, but also for Washington potentially making the college football playoff this year too. But they got to win this game against Illinois. It will not be an easy task for them.